Samsung just released its newest premium smartphone, the Galaxy S20 Ultra, with an impressive camera system. Is it enough to top the Pixel 4 XL's camera system? I'm going to check that out next on Hands on Tech. Hands on Tech is brought to you from LastPass Studios. Keeping passwords on notes or spreadsheets doesn't work anymore. LastPass easily keeps track and creates unique passwords for every site you use. Visit lastpass.com/twit.
This is Twit.
This episode of Hands on Tech is brought to you by Mint Mobile. They cut your wireless bill down to just $15 a month with their 3-month introductory plan. And get the plan shipped to your door for free at mintmobile.com/hot. Hello everyone and welcome to Hands on Tech. I'm Jason Howell and I've been spending the last week and a half with the Samsung Galaxy S20 Ultra. This is a beast of a phone. I mean, it's gigantic. It's probably one of the largest phones that I've ever used. And it also has a very different camera system than Samsung is used to putting into its premium smartphones. It also has a premium price tag of starting at $1,400, which is what I paid for this. Now, I've also been a big fan of the Pixel 4 XL, particularly because it takes amazing pictures right out of the box. So if Samsung's put all of their work into the camera system on the S20 Ultra, I thought, why not compare it to what I rely on a daily basis, the Pixel 4 XL. So we're going to compare shots from both of these cameras right now. So first off, let's start with the Pixel 4 XL. This is the phone that I love and use every day. Dual rear-facing camera system here. You can see it's got a square camera bump compared to the S20 Ultra's kind of like large rectangular camera bump. A 12.2 megapixel f1.8 aperture main camera with optical image stabilization. 16 megapixel 2x optical telephoto. It's also an 8 megapixel f1.8 aperture front-facing camera up at the top there. One thing to note about the Pixel 4 XL, it has the neural core chip, which is designed for enhancing the camera with powerful assisted features. Comes in really handy for things like dual exposure controls, live HDR plus preview, Astrophotography, which I'll definitely get into in a moment. Now with the S20 Ultra, you've got a quad rear-facing camera system. In the middle there is the main camera, 108 megapixels, f1.8 aperture with a gigantic sensor inside, really impressive. It's pixel binning 9 shots into one, down to 12 megapixels in the image, so important to note. Down at the bottom, a 48 megapixel 4x optical telephoto, and then up top, the 12 megapixel ultra wide. And then you do have a time of flight sensor over here. That's good for depth shots, that sort of stuff. And then on the front facing camera, of course, a 40 megapixel camera up here that's binned down to 10 megapixels, f2.2 aperture on that camera. And there is computational photography happening in here as well, care of the Snapdragon 865 chip. Now on paper, the S20 Ultra has the hardware edge, I'd say. Let's take a look at some shots to compare the two. So the first category is going to be close-ups, and I took a couple of shots here. We're going to start with the white flowers on a tree. This is in front of the Twit building. You can see it kind of in the background. The Ultra has I would say, a very unique focal length on the main lens, especially compared to the Pixel. I've seen this in many examples from this camera. So it results in kind of an artistic blurring of the branches that you see in this picture on either side of the flower. Kind of looks nice to me. The Pixel 4 XL captures everything by comparison a bit more evenly. So my eyes like the Ultra version of this shot much better. It's kind of easier to know what you can focus on with your eyes. The red vines in the second picture with the white bulbs, my wife actually tells me this is a photinia, by the way. The Pixel 4 XL captures, I'd say, more of the plant broadly in more focus, kind of similar to the previous example, compared to the Ultra that again has that more specific focal point in the middle. I'd say that this effect for this camera system actually works really well on things like plants and rocks and close-ups, that sort of stuff. As for a selfie, here you can start to see where the shallow depth of field that I'm talking about that's pleasing in one example might result in images that don't capture the entire subject evenly in another. So I'd say this is kind of a tough call. Depends on if you like the shallow depth of field effect of these pictures. I like the S20 Ultra better, but only slightly. All right, landscapes. We're going to start with a grassy field with a mill. Now the Pixel 4 XL, it's detailed, it's sharp, it's clear, everything looks really nice. The S20 Ultra, I'd say is very similar in the level of detail that you see here, maybe a bit darker by comparison, but the S20 Ultra has an ultra-wide lens. So when you're taking landscapes, that ultra-wide lens can come in really handy for those sweeping landscape shots. That's definitely a bonus. This next shot is a tree with a fountain in the background, and here the Pixel 4 XL again captures all the detail in the tree that looks really nice. The sun flare that you see in the picture is a little unfortunate. Otherwise, the picture's pretty clear. Compared to the S20 Ultra, which you can see really brightens up the dark elements in the picture, particularly in the leaves. And to my eyes, the S20 Ultra wins in this category, but again, it's super close. All right, took a few colorful shots here. One of the Android figurines that sit in my office at TWiT, one of Aunt Pruitt in studio working his magic on his show, Hands on Photography, and one with a little car that was found while I was walking around that has some Picasso art on it. Pretty neat little piece of art. And again, this one's really close. It really gives maybe a little bit of an edge to the Pixel 4 XL based on clarity. That seems to get lost when you compare it side by side with the S20 Ultra in all three of these examples, but I'm kind of surprised at how close a call these photos are between the two phones. But in this case, I'd say the edge goes slightly in the direction of the Pixel 4 XL. All right, selfie portrait. This is with the selfie camera in portrait mode. Pixel phones, I would say, are generally pretty solid with this. My experience with Samsung portrait mode in the past has been kind of iffy. And in this case, the 4XL shot has a natural color balance. There's some blurry hair up at the top, which I don't like to see, but overall, it's reasonably separated from the background. It's all done with computational photography happening behind the scenes, and I think it did a pretty decent job here. The S20 Ultra is a bit more yellowish, greenish by comparison, so the color balance is slightly off, maybe a little paler. Similar blurry hair up at the top, so they both kind of got that wrong. And the separation overall is pretty solid all around. Once again, really close. Again, I'm really surprised at how close these two camera systems are, but the color balance actually tips the scales to the 4XL. All right, now taking a selfie with the regular mode. This is the selfie camera without portrait mode on, and this is, well, I would say my artistic pose at the base of a cool looking tree. The 4XL has a ton of detail in the tree that's behind me. You also get some natural skin tones, sunny background. If you can see in the very back is a bit blown out, but I was in a very shady area by comparison, so keep that in mind. The S20 Ultra shows much less detail in the tree behind me. It doesn't look bad necessarily, it's just a very different aesthetic. Again, it has that familiar greenish yellowish hue that looks less natural to my eyes. Overall, less color saturation, kind of pale. If you hadn't guessed, the Pixel 4 XL wins this one hands down. All right, one more portrait effort here. This with the rear-facing camera. I'm going to spare you yet another picture of me. So here's my friend. His name is Micah Sargent. 4XL here has excellent separation on the edges. The edge blurring from the background looks really nice. Overall, I'd say Micah really pops in this shot. The S20 Ultra looks pretty darn solid as well. In fact, these two pictures look so similar, it's hard for me to pick a winner between these two. I have to give it a tie. They're almost identical to my eyes. So let's try a different object. How about a bottle of some random thing that has no meaning at all right now in the world, a bottle of Purell hand sanitizer in a darkish room. The 4XL, I would say in this case, you can see it really drops the ball. The bottle top gets completely blurred in some places. Edges are too sharp in others. It does not look natural. It's really an ugly shot. The S20, on the other hand, rocks this shot. The edges are nice, top to bottom. Everything on the label looks sharper. You can see everything that you want to see. This, by the way, is not an easy shot for any camera system, but the S20 made it happen. And so the S20 Ultra wins this round. This episode of Hands on Tech is brought to you by Mint Mobile. Have you looked at your wireless bill lately? You're probably paying too much. It's 2020 and network coverage is better than ever, no matter your wireless provider. So why pay more for the same service? That's where Mint Mobile comes in. To get your new wireless plan for just $15 a month with their 3-month introductory plan and get the plan shipped to your door for free, go to mintmobile.com/hot. That's mintmobile.com/hot. And you can cut your wireless bill to $15 a month with their 3-month introductory plan. mintmobile.com/hot. All right, zoom is pretty important because the S20 Ultra has some zoom features that don't exist on any other smartphone right now. We're going to start with a grassy field with a mill, and we're going to test out the 2x zoom, which, by the way, is the Pixel 4 XL's native zoom. And in this example, the 4 XL has way more fine detail when you're particularly looking at the grass. The building in the far background looks natural, it looks sharp, really nice. The S20, by comparison, looks pretty crunchy. Detail in the mill is totally lost. It's fuzzy, point pixel. The second shot is a grassy field with a few cows and a white truck, which we're going to get to in a little bit later. 4X, which happens to be the S20 Ultra's native zoom. The Pixel 4 XL is using some computational smarts to sharpen things up here. You can tell things look a bit softer, not necessarily bad, but a definite loss of detail. The S20, by comparison, has a ton of detail. Again, this is the native zoom on the camera, so this picture looks really awesome by comparison. So, point S20 Ultra. Then we have a pond with a babbling rocky brook, and I'm going to compare the 2X and the 4X. The Pixel 4 XL has a bit more of like a shadowy quality, a little bit darker in the shadows. Still pretty sharp but detailed compared to the S20 Ultra, which is bright by comparison. The greens, you can tell they're overly saturated. Things look pretty solidly sharp and detailed though. I tend to lean more for the balances that the Pixel 4 XL offers here. And then on the 4X zoom, this one I think is no contest. The Pixel 4 XL just looks far more detailed in particular, less blown out in the sunny spots compared to the digital crunchy look of the S20 Ultra, which is strange because that 4X is the native zoom on this phone. Pixel 4 XL wins this. Now, I told you I was going to get back to the white truck. That's because this grassy field with the white truck, we're going to test out 100x zoom. On the S20, it's called space zoom, and it's a key feature of this phone. Now, as you can see, that white truck, it's a blurry shot. Many people wondered how this would even be useful for pictures. As far as truck pics go, this is unusable. But the Pixel 4 XL can't even do 100x. So we took a shot with the 2x telephoto camera, and Anthony Nielsen, producer of this show, zoomed in to 100x to compare against, and oof, this makes space zoom look positively high def. So all in all, it's close, but the 4 XL edges out very slightly the S20 Ultra in the zoom category. All right, now we're testing low light, which is using night mode inside the building. For low light, how about this? Our dark pantry here at Twit. I think I expected the Pixel to run away with this one, but the S20 Ultra actually held its own here. It's pretty sharp by comparison. 4 XL has this like smeary quality to it. Both are pretty nicely lit though, considering how dark it was in there. Another shot of Android figurines in my office, and again, pretty dark room when I shot these. The 4 XL has this bluish hue compared to the greenish yellow hue on the S20 Ultra. As for detail, the Pixel seems to be more natural there. The S20 Ultra has a more processed feel. This is a really hard one to give any sort of a winner to, so I have to give this one a tie. And then taking night mode outside, this is the night sky in my backyard. Now the 4 XL does okay. You can see some stars in the sky, some detail on the houses, still very dark in the end. The S20 Ultra, however, grabs more stars in the sky, grabs more detail on the houses, and some extra detail in my yard even. So point S20 Ultra. Here's a shot of my barbecue in front of the kitchen light outside. You're getting a view of what my house looks like. 4 XL is definitely dark, but shows some good detail on the barbecue. The S20 Ultra is definitely processed more. You can really see it. It shows the background, shows more back there, but lighting is all wonky, definitely feels over processed and not ideal. So point Pixel 4 XL. And one final shot, which I don't have a comparison with the Pixel 4 XL. I got this a few days ago before the shootout. This is a bunch of trucks and the night sky outside Lagunitas. I wanted to get a nice shot with the night mode on the S20 Ultra. Interesting detail here throughout, but again, you kind of get that over-processed feel. It's kind of crunchy. And so between these two, based on these examples, it's hard for me to give a win on this. It's really a tie because they both have their strengths and their weaknesses. However, that's going to change right now. Astrophotography, no question, this goes immediately to the Pixel 4 XL. This is a shot of the starry sky above my house, and you can see it's just a really smooth shot on the Pixel 4 XL. Stars everywhere. That sky is just a pleasant blue hue, so sharp. The S20 Ultra looks pretty solid by comparison, but there's no smoothness to the sky. It kind of has this like blocky quality to it. A valiant effort, no doubt, but just can't hold its own against the Pixel 4 XL, so the Pixel gets it. And now shifting to the last part of this roundup, and that's video. So we're going to first start with 4K video. Now, I took this video of a fountain, and I'm kind of panning slowly across a body of water, and the S20 looks very sharp, as you want your 4K video to look, but you can see every 3 to 4 seconds, the lens on the camera system does this like quick focus shifting thing. It's super distracting and definitely an error that they need to correct. The 4 XL, on the other hand, looks crisp, it looks sharp as well, but to my eyes, if I look really close, I can see some slight video compression correction happening every 2 to 3 seconds. It's faint, and much more faint than what you see on the S20 Ultra, but it's definitely there. The second video in 4K is panning up a tree. I really like this shot. The S20 again shows the lens doing that quick focus adjusting thing. It's super distracting. Personally, it's unacceptable in my opinion for how much you have to spend on this phone. Hopefully it gets addressed in a future software update. Compared to the 4 XL, it still shows that slight video compression correction at times, but it's far less distracting than the S20 Ultra issue. So the Pixel 4 XL wins that. And the final category, 8K video. And I mean, this one's easy. The Pixel 4 XL doesn't support 8K video recording, so there's nothing to show you there. The S20 Ultra does, but it's locked at 24 frames per second. And you can really see in this shot the low frame rate in the lack of smoothness with the pan. It kind of looks like blocky while I'm panning. And the movement of the water in the water fountain, it definitely looks slowed down. And that damn focus shift is still there. Again, unacceptable. So I suppose the S20 Ultra wins in this case only because the 4 XL doesn't have 8K at all, but it is far from ideal. So in the end, as you can see, I'm going to go ahead and remove the 2 ties from the equation that were in there. I count 4 categories where the S20 Ultra excelled. That's close-ups, landscapes, selfies in regular mode using the rear camera, and then 8K video, basically because it can, and the Pixel 4 XL can't support 8K video. The 4 XL clocked in at 6 categories: colorful shots, selfies in portrait mode, selfies in regular mode, zoom shots, astrophotography, and 4K video. That makes the Pixel 4 XL the winner of this comparison of shots. So as you can see, based on the price difference between these phones, I mean, the Pixel 4 XL is going to set you back $500 less than the premium price that you get the S20 Ultra. And if the camera system is super important to you on your smartphone, then you have a question that you have to answer for yourself. Are there other reasons that the S20 Ultra is the right phone for you if you're paying $500 more for it? Such a premium for photos that, by comparison, at least in this test, the photos really were very similar in so many categories. Good question for you to ask yourself. I hope I've given you enough answers to those questions to make that decision for yourself. I'm Jason Howell, and you can catch me reviewing technology all across the Twit network, all about Android, hands-on Android, and hands-on tech. We'll see you next time.
Keep up with all the hottest tech news and gadgets. Visit twit.tv. There you'll be able to find and subscribe to all our tech shows. Thanks for watching Hands on Tech.